Hey guys, welcome to the first video of 2020. As we enter 2019, I thought we could visit the major happenings of the decade. The 2010s have seen a lot of tech trends ranging from social media to sharing and privacy. We've seen small flip phones all the way to massive iPads. Let's just look at what happened through the 10 years, all the major tech products and events that defined our decade. We start off right in 2010 where we have Gadget. Many consider to have defined the decade. I'm obviously talking about the iPhone 4. It was probably the most aesthetic phone released at that time, with the aluminium body and brand new Retina display. It was the first iPhone with a front camera, and it introduced FaceTime for video calling. It had its problems with antenna gate, which was responsible for terrible call quality and such. But the iPhone 4 was the best touchscreen phone at the time. It started a decade of Apple dominance in the flagship arena, and Apple phones have only gotten better since. Secondly, we have Facebook. Facebook has been in the limelight almost every week these past few years, and for reasons that I'd rather not be known for. However, you can't deny the influence that Facebook and Instagram have had on the internet these past few years, especially since Facebook bought Instagram in 2011. They also purchased WhatsApp in 2014, to much surprise, solidifying their presence. Instagram has been the top social media platform of the decade. In June 2018, Instagram had reached 1 billion monthly active users, and at the same time, it hasn't been a smooth ride for Facebook. They had a major data breach with Cambridge Analytica, and the platform was in the center of the Trump campaign, with many accusing it of preferential treatment and rise of fake news and propaganda. Love it or hate it, you just cannot ignore Facebook and their products. Moving on to the world of media, this decade started a large number of streaming wars throughout the world. With Netflix going global, it started a range of reactions that has us choosing between different streaming services now. We have old shows and tons of originals of each streaming service. Today, shows and movies are split between Netflix, Disney+, Hulu, YouTube Premium and Amazon Prime. You have a lot of regional platforms like Hotstar and Woot. It's only going to get worse with more services like HBO Go and other studios coming up with their own services. This decade has seen a complete switch from cable to streaming services, with the main reason being it provided a platform to legally stream the content you wanted. But with the same being fragmented with multiple services, most equally priced, we are back to days of cable. This decade saw the rise of wearables. From Pebble to Fitbit to the Apple Watch, the wearables started to rise in prominence over the last 10 years. Now, they might not be perfect, but sure are promising. The Apple Watch is the highest selling watch of all time, and it's an easy dominator in that field. But it's not too far ahead of the Wear OS watches that run the wearable version of Android, or the Tizen smartwatches by Samsung. We started out mostly with fitness trackers, but we are well beyond that simplicity now. And while watches are the highest sellers, we also saw other wearables like Google Glasses or Snap Spectacles, neither of which are sold too well. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of the same next decade, as wearables slowly become a part of our lives, exactly like phones did. Next on the list we have navigation and rideshare. Now this might not be what you think about regularly, but it's easy to take for granted Google Maps and other navigation services. But with the 2010 global premiere and the other features that they have added later on, Google Maps plays a very vital role in us finding directions from one place to another. Also, Uber radicalized the concept of rideshare, which was not very common before this decade. Uber is easily the world's largest taxi and rideshare provider, and they went global only this decade. We also have a shared space with services that let you rent vehicles for you to drive around, and this decade has really changed how we commute. Next up we have Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. In late 2017, Bitcoin took a huge rise. When a single coin was worth just 8 cents back in 2010, it was now worth almost $5,000 in October and $10,000 in November, and it went to a very huge price of $20,000 in late December. Although the idea of decentralized currency seems very enticing, the Bitcoin bubble burst shortly after, and now it's valued around $7,000. While we are on the subject of electronic money, Although cryptocurrency didn't take off as expected, e-banking did. Things like Paytm and Google Pay in India have been used extensively and have made online transfers much easier. The idea of a unified payments interface has been implemented thoroughly and has made cashless transfers quite smooth. One of the prominent figures of the decade was Elon Musk. While all the publicity that he got might not be for the right purpose, quite a lot of it was for very good reasons. And one of the better ones was Tesla. Their push towards electric cars has been unrivaled, and so far the numbers seem to agree. The Tesla Model 3 has been credited as one of the best-selling cars of all time. With a cheaper price range than most electric cars and features like autopilot, Tesla is slowly becoming a household name for vehicles. They also stepped into the market with their Cybertruck and semi-trailer truck. Up next, we have a product that's slowly changing personal computing. I'm talking about the iPad. First released in 2010, it was mostly used for recreational purposes, but in the recent days, it's been used for much more than that. Especially with the introduction of iPad Pro and the suite of work apps now available, the device is now also for professionals, especially designers and creators. This form factor is also spreading beyond the Apple ecosystem, with Microsoft Surface tablets or Google Chromebooks. Personal computers today no longer need to be a laptop or a desktop, with a considerable shift to these tablets. There has also been the decade of varied reality. There have been massive advancements in virtual reality and augmented reality. Virtual reality has had massive leaps, with Oculus being founded in 2011 before their purchase by Facebook in 2014. The biggest commercial use of virtual reality has still been for gaming, with products like Oculus Rift, HTC Vive and PSVR. However, it's spreading to so much more, like education and virtual tourism for starters. Projects like Google Cardboard and Daydream have made this more affordable to the general public, so more people have had the taste of VR in the past decade, and that number is slowly going up. On the other hand, augmented reality has been much more widespread, with its very close influence on various social media apps like Instagram and Snapchat. From Snapchat masks to camera filters, most people would have used some implementation of augmented reality in the past few years. We are seeing more uses now, with Google Maps showing directions on the camera view, or with companies using this to show their products to customers in real time. Of course, this technology will only improve, especially when you have devices like Microsoft HoloLens or Snap Glasses, and maybe even Google Lens. Next up, we have smart assistants. The 2010s have seen the rise of another voice that's set to stick around in the future. With Apple introducing Siri in 2011, it's been a whirlwind of smart assistants and devices running them, with every major company putting one out. This space is currently dominated by Amazon's Alexa and Google Assistant, with millions of smart speakers and appliances running them, not to mention a billion Android devices running Google Assistant. But whether you actively use Google Assistant or Siri, or you're just stuck with Samsung's Bixby, the decade saw a massive rise in these personal helpers, and it's only going up from here. But that's not all AI is about. We saw mind-blowing progress in self-driving cars like Tesla or Google's Waymo. Commercial robots are slowly getting mainstream, and AI seems to find an application in every little product and service. From recommendation systems for personalized services to appliances that can take decisions for you, and devices and software that adapt to your usage. AI has played an undeniably massive role, and it's only going to get better, smarter, and more accurate, and some might say more intrusive. So that's about it for the video. This was in collaboration with the blog, the Veto. It has some really nice content, so I'd appreciate it if you checked it out. I'll leave a link in the description down below for those of you who want to check it out. So that's about it for the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.